do have a lot of families that actually come dine with us. I'm a family of 2 beautiful children, and it's really hard to hit 30 plates. It really is.
You haven't invited me to dinner with you. I mean, we can make this happen.
Okay.
Welcome to Restaurant 365 Presents Behind the Numbers, a show where we talk to restaurant owners, operators, chefs, KM, CFO, and everybody in between. And we talk about what makes a successful restaurant tick. Before we get started, I just want to remind everybody to like, subscribe to the show wherever you're listening to it, and please consider leaving a review. It really does help. And it helps us bring you all of these wonderful conversations, as well as continue to grow and support this amazing restaurant community of ours. And with that, I'm your host, Mark Cohen.
And I'm Rich Sweeney. And we are excited today to be joined with Jung Lee, the VP of Supply Chain for Kura Sushi USA. Jung has had several years of experience leading, this man has such a resume that I actually have to read it off the copy because I couldn't try to memorize all of this. I'm like jumping through the hoops here. So
I did a lot.
A lot of stuff going on here. Several years experience leading inventory management for multi-unit operations, including Eureka Restaurant Group from 2015 to 2019, where you managed compliance and provided support to general managers and executive chefs. As executive chef formerly, I thank you for that. On top of that, you've got experience with Kona Grill. You have held various roles, including operations support manager, corporate sushi culinary trainer, and sushi chef manager. Jung also owned and operated Oishi Restaurant and worked as sushi chef at Sapporo and Raw Sushi Bar and Restaurant.
Wow.
And you've got 2 amazing kids. Jung, welcome to Behind the Numbers.
Well, thanks for having me. Yeah. As soon as you actually read that off, it just took me back to all the
You're
good and the bad.
exhausted.
Yeah. I've been getting exhausted just thinking about
You watched
that.
your resume flash before your eyes.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, you've clearly been in the industry a long time. You've been an owner-operator, you've been a chef. What do you now in your role think is the most important thing operators should be doing day to day? What should they be focusing on?
It sounds really cliche, but it's really the basics, right? So like every time I've worked out many different concepts, and through the good, the bad, like we always come back to the basics, which is like if we got to do what we're doing good well, and we can't lose sight of what we were actually trying to accomplish. With whether it was with Kona Grill, whether it was with Eureka, we just need to make sure that we were sticking what we were doing well and just providing support to our operators to make sure that they get that done.
And you're clearly doing something well, because how many locations do you have with Kura?
We're at 76 now. We got 3 just coming around the corner, but
Wow.
yeah.
Just
slowing
3
up.
on top of the 76, just a couple.
Just a few.
And it's an international brand, right? It's not just in North America.
It is. So our little background of Kura Sushi USA, we are a entity of our own. However, Kura's Japan, there's 550 plus locations in Japan.
Wow.
The founder recognized that we were pretty much maxed out in Japan. And
Okay.
so they wanted to expand, the founder wanted to expand into the US market, like best market. We'll tell Kura Japan that. But we
No
were-
bias, but yeah.
we are an entity here, and Kura actually has Kura Taiwan, Kura Shanghai, but yeah, we operate the Kura USA. So.
I just want to go on the Kura World Tour.
Yeah.
Can you and me all 3 of us, we'll just go, we'll hop around, we'll eat at all of them. We'll see how many plates we can rack up across all of them.
Yeah, I mean, we were just talking about plate counts with some of the staff over here.
So they have an app where you can track, because everything comes out on plates, right? You've got this elaborate system, and you can track how many plates you've had over the course of your years of going. And what are you at right now?
I was at 960 something.
That's a lot of sushi.
I want to be there for plate 1,000.
Right.
How about we do that?
Okay.
We're breaking into the 1K mark.
And you're in charge of procurement. So what is your day-to-day like? How many pounds of tuna are you going through in like a month?
In a month? Well, I don't have the month number, but I do have a fun little number for you because not only are we a sushi chain, but we pride in ourselves on the fact that we use very specific ingredients.
Right.
So, and we try to leverage what we have the buying power with Kura Japan. But one fun little fact is that we actually purchased a pen of bluefin in Croatia about a year ago. And in that pen, we were able to yield 44,000 pounds of bluefin.
Wow. So you bought a pen
A pen of
of
bluefin.
fish.
Yeah.
I can't
just
even wrap
one.
my brain around all of that.
No.
I'm
can't
hungry
either.
thinking about it, and it's not just because we're still at the NRA show with all of the fun and excitement happening in the background for our booth. and I just keep smelling food that's delicious from all over. But
I
just
smell
thinking
it
about
here too. I smell it here.
thinking about that much tuna just is making me very hungry.
And that's just only the bluefin piece of it, right? So we actually utilize the big eye tuna as well. So specifically, and we purchased the whole pen, so we had from the tail all the way to the fin, and so. Yeah.
So, and I want to get into a little bit of the tech of your business, right? Because your restaurants are very tech forward. You've got conveyor belts, you've got robots, you've got. So, talk to us a little bit about that. What led you in that direction as a company?
So back in, I want to say 2019, middle of 2019 is when Kura USA went public.
Okay.
And at that time, we were operating, I believe, 23 locations. And there was a recognition, because Kura Japan already had, at that time, 400 plus locations, they utilized a lot of proprietary technology. And because we're a very tech-heavy company, it was being built in Kura Japan. So when we first opened up a few of our locations here, we just kind of tried to use that technology and just do a copy and paste over here.
Did that work?
And as you know, copy and paste does not work all the time, and
Right.
especially in this case where, especially culture-wise, like it was more of a push-down method with the Japanese culture. So if you would tell me, hey, you're using this system and this is the item that you're going to purchase at what time, and this is how these are the steps that you would take to do it, there's a lot of compliance that just comes naturally with the Japanese culture. However, when we tried to actually mimic that or paste that here, it just didn't work. A lot of the systems that worked in Japan, it just didn't translate. So there was a journey that the then supply chain leader came to this show actually, and we're talking to 365, and that's how I actually even got recruited into Kura.
Because you had used it at Kona
At
and
other-
Eureka.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
that makes sense. Perfect.
So a little bit of background on that, and then I mean, before even Restaurant 365, you were familiar with some of the other like legacy parts of Restaurant 365.
Oh yeah, compete advantage.
Okay.
Like I go back. I go back. Yeah, like Bill Lindsay. I don't know if that name still rings a lot here, but like.
Oh yeah, of course. Everybody knows who that is.
Yeah.
And so you found us, and when we were talking to you originally, you talked about this idea of eliminating critical thinking. I sort of love this concept because the legacy product you were on was pretty limited in what you could do.
Yeah, so essentially the system was so locked in that the managers didn't have to do really anything minus, okay, well, we have 3 bottles of water. That's it. And it worked in Japan because there's commissaries within Japan that actually deliver 365 days a year.
Okay.
Twice a day, every day. And all the managers needed to do was simply just punch in a number of, hey, this is how much product we have.
Right.
And then it would actually come through, and even the walk-ins, it's especially designed. When I visited there, I looked at a few of our locations there, and I wish we had it here, but the walk-in door, there was a door that exits the prop or
An
the
external
restaurant,
door.
an external
Okay.
door, and then an internal door where it would be accessed from the staff inside the restaurant. So
Well,
that
that's awesome.
exterior door, they just pull up, the trucks come, and then just dump everything into.
Right.
The fridge.
Refrigerator
And
check,
then-
refrigerator walk-in.
And then if I was a manager for that location, I would just open up my walk-in, and
would be-
magically all the product that I need is
That's
just
like
here.
everybody's dream. You just open up the walk-in and it's suddenly
magically
full.
restocked.
Hopefully
Full
put
of-
down,
full of
nice
big
and
eye
neat.
tuna.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But you can't do that here.
No, I mean just the geography alone, right? And we don't have a commissary. Maybe someday if I.
Okay.
If
We have a
we're,
module for that.
Yeah, we can help with that.
Just
Yeah,
saying.
yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely know that you do. So if we do end up that, maybe we'll
Okay.
definitely be able to utilize even more. But we're utilizing partners here, and we don't even utilize your typical broadline vendors,
Right.
like your Cisco's
I
of the
imagine
world.
you wouldn't.
Jeffers. And because
Very
we
specific product.
absolutely, and
Yeah.
we have that so much buying power back in Japan that it would be kind of ridiculous not to leverage that buying power.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, if
Yeah.
you know you've got great ingredients there and great buying power, why not utilize that over here as well as much as possible? Really try to have that carryover, that consistency piece.
And so it sounds like the manager's hands were a little tied here for a while. There was not much they could do to affect
No,
change
absolutely.
or
And
improve costs.
in the beginning, the system that we actually utilized was locally built in the United States. And essentially
Okay.
they would say, hey, this is all the managers need to do. They don't need to do critical thinking.
I like
They're
the
just-
software companies telling you how to run your restaurant.
yeah. Well, it didn't work very well. So we actually went and found a solution. we did find a solution that was not 365. And the main driver for that decision at that time was that, hey, we want to try to continue to mimic what worked in Japan.
Right.
And the system that we actually just recently went away from did allow us to do that. And the system, and if you had managers that were already critical thinkers and they were able to dot all the I's and all the T's, like do every single step naturally without any kind of like assistance from the corporate down, it would have worked. However, since we were actually coming from that mentality of, hey, we just tell you what these are the things that you do, and then it eventually just like you're able to run your restaurant, you don't have to think about it. Well, that system required a lot of like making sure that everything was done in a sequential. Like, God forbid you make a mistake, you can't fix it.
That's it.
That's it. Like week to week, if the week was locked down, there was nothing we could do. So
That's
like,
crazy.
And if we were to even identify it, there was no way for our managers to actually even go and correct it. So it was a very arduous task to try to have accurate numbers. And we all know garbage in, garbage out. So like we were all constantly having garbage in and thus garbage out. But the reason why we were able to finally make full circle and come back here is that there was a recognition at the executive level, like, hey, maybe we do actually need to utilize a system where it's a little more user-friendly.
Right.
So that anybody that, you don't need to train them how to use the system just to get the numbers that you need. Right. And then if you identify an error, you should be able to correct that without having to like be on rocket science.
It's like the equivalent of doing the Sunday Times crossword puzzle, but doing it in pencil so you can go back and make the edits when you realize you picked the wrong word. Yeah.
You're doing it with pen.
We were absolutely doing with pen, and
Okay.
there was no way. And fun little fact, but Japan actually has a pen that you can actually erase, but we weren't doing that.
So it's just like overall culture shift, right? And that makes sense. You're in a different market. It's a different culture. And so your technology, your tech stack had to take a culture shift as well.
Yes, and we still have a lot of cross functionality with Kura Japan because a lot of our data actually still resides in there, in Japan actually. But the recognition is definitely there, so that we actually do need to be able to manage our technology a little different from how it was being managed back in Japan.
And so does this allow you to sort of reduce your overhead because the software is a little more tangible, a little more flexible?
Yes.
You don't need an army of people going back to fix things?
Well, yeah.
Okay.
And the amount of time that was required to even try to fix it, there was a way in that old system to actually fix it. However, it wasn't very user friendly, and it took a ton of time, a lot of manpower, a lot of labor hours to actually do that, and that's all gone. Like that's completely eliminated. So the individuals who actually had to work on correcting the data so that we could have an accurate P&L, that need has completely disappeared from our processes. Completely.
I mean, that's awesome. That's amazing.
That's incredible. So you're tightening up the efficiency with that, and then with Kura, I mean, it's the robots are invading. You know, like so. I mean, let's talk a little bit about the technology side that you guys have in place right now.
Yeah. So we have the robots that you see on the show floor.
Yep.
So we've been utilizing that for years now, where we call our robots Kirby. It's Kura B.
Kura B.
Kura
Okay.
B.
I like it.
And so all of the drinks would actually be delivered through the robots.
Okay.
Even the food that's because we are a revolving sushi bar, we do have the lower level that is constantly revolving.
Okay.
But we also have what we're unique on, even with the concepts back in Japan with other revolving sushi bars, we have what we call an express belt that actually brings the food directly to you. So if you actually place an order on the tablet itself, you'll actually get the food delivered directly to you.
Okay.
On the back end though, like you've probably seen the robots here with, there's a lot of manual labor when it comes to making sushi.
Yeah, I would imagine.
And so we actually utilize robots that would actually pump out we don't even wash our rice. Like it's actually being washed by a robot.
Wow.
It's being cooked by a robot.
So
and mixed by
what's your head count in an average restaurant?
Head count's a little higher.
Okay.
The reason why we have a little more high head count in the back is because we're not a Nobus, right?
Yeah.
So we don't have to bring in a sushi chef. per se, that would be constantly be interacting with the guests and being able to cut down everything that I'm handling behind the sushi case.
Okay.
So what ends up happening is we have a little. Our founder actually believed that he wanted to bring our great ingredients, lower the labor, so that we could actually spend more on the COGS piece of it, so we could actually provide to our guests what they normally wouldn't, the quality of sushi that you normally wouldn't be able to get for that price point.
Right, and I mean, normally, like historically, when you think of like the revolving sushi, it's not normally thought of as like, it's a little bit, it felt more kitschy. It felt more like, you're kind of just going for the gimmick. But you guys are putting out top quality product as well.
Yeah, I mean, to be perfectly honest, when I was approached with, I don't know if I could keep on saying that concept name, but when I was approached when I was from Eureka, I was perfectly happy with Eureka. And they just said that, hey, I think this is a great position for you. Please at least have an interview with us. But when I walked through that kitchen, and you saw from my bio, I actually owned and operated.
You were a sushi chef, yeah.
And I was blown away from the ingredients. We have a mutane philosophy. Our founder has a mutane philosophy where no artificial colors, no additives. Like, God forbid we have MSG. Like, our sourcing is it's very difficult, especially when it was the COVID times where we were. I'll give you a real life example. When we were coming out of COVID, there's a very specific vinegar that we have. It's our recipe. It's our vinegar.
It's made for you.
It's made for us in the commissaries in Japan. And it needed to be brought in on a plane. And I still remember this conversation with our CEO, Jimmy. Like, are you sure you want me to bring this? It's vinegar. You want me to bring this in on a plane? Like, we have vinegar here. Can't we just make it? No.
And so that's
it's not our vinegar. Our soy sauce, it's not our soy sauce.
Because you guys have like your own proprietary soy sauce, right?
Yeah, even the soy sauce. We do partner up with Kikkoman. However, Kikkoman makes our soy sauce.
Okay.
So it's not something that you could just go into a grocer somewhere and just, even our mayo, Kewpie. We partner with Kewpie, but the Kewpie that we utilize, there's no MSG in that Kewpie. But if you cannot get that MSG-free Kewpie from like a local grocer.
How do we get that message to your consumer? Because to Rick's point, right, conveyor belt sushi comes with a stigma. People just assume it's going to be like getting it at a gas station, right? How do you elevate the knowledge of your consumer and know that what you're doing is making a difference?
We have a great PR team, marketing and PR, where on the screens themselves, we have a lot of materials where every 5 plates, it sounds a little gimmicky, but every 5 plates we get a little animation, and then we're incorporating a lot of that educational pieces into those animations.
Okay.
So it talks about how we make our own dashi, right? We're not adding your MSG dashi that everybody does on your miso soup. Like, we're literally boiling down our stock at a revolving sushi bar. We're boiling down our stock to make miso soup. There's no MSG on there at all. And a lot of that messaging is actually being done through those screens, where when the guests hit every single time of those plate counts, a little message comes out. We're definitely putting a more push on letting our guests know
this is quality.
This is not your typical revolving sushi.
Yeah, that pushing that educational piece of it too, letting people understand a little bit more. Not only to be able to speak to the high quality level, but also just to help inform people, let them understand a little bit more about the food that they're eating. Because so many times people are just kind of flying blind, like they don't know what they're putting in their mouth.
You have to educate.
Exactly.
Especially when it's something like sushi, which could be foreign to somebody. It could be their first time having a meal like that.
I mean, even our California roll, right? When you typically hear California roll, you automatically associate imitation crab.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We do not have imitation crab in our California. I mean, it's actually snow crab.
That's huge. That's huge.
And then on top of that, because you guys have you have the revolving sushi bar. Let's talk a little bit more. We were talking last time about the technology that's in place there for keeping an eye on the product, the quality, being able to utilize technology on top of that to make sure you're maintaining that really high level of standard.
Yeah, and we actually have a QR code that we're actually building out right now where, let's be honest, when you go to a revolving sushi bar, the first thought probably, it's like, I wonder how long this has been going around.
Right. Exactly.
So we actually have QR code on every single one of we call it Mr. Fresh. It's actually patented, where we keep our sushi contained in a safe environment.
Okay.
And not only that, but that QR code, the technology comes into play. When it actually comes around, it actually recognizes how long that plate has been on the belt.
Oh, okay.
And if it crosses a certain threshold, the robot will actually grab it and just discard it immediately.
That's incredible. And so are you, I mean, clearly I feel like you are ahead of most people when it comes to your tech stack, but is there anything new you're playing with? AI, obviously we talk about, I feel like all the time, but any sort of machine learning that you're playing with? That QR code sounds like it could become smart.
Right now, the piece that my Christmas wish is, because we actually charge by the plate,
Right.
and not by what color of plate or what item. So you could have a plate of avocados, watermelons.
Sure.
Let's use watermelons.
Yeah.
We have a side dish of watermelons versus our dish with toro. They cost the same. So
That's
right,
pretty awesome.
And right now,
I'm gonna eat all the toro.
All the time.
I'm like thinking about cogs right
Yeah,
now.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
I just
yeah.
like had a heart
Terrifying,
attack. Terrifying. But when it comes to like those ingredients, we do not have the capacity right now. We use the some old technology with the radio frequency.
With the RFID chips.
RFID
Yeah.
chips
Yep.
to try to actually see what kind of theoretical usage we were getting. Didn't really quite work out with the operation, so we're actually piggybacking off of that QR code to actually see what's on the plate. Not only when did it actually get
What?
added to the plate or the tracks,
Right.
but what is it? So it's gonna be like Christmas when we're able to get the theoretical piece of it.
Because then the watermelon can go a few more times, the toro a few less times, right? You start to find that sweet spot,
Yeah.
that balance. Because I know ultimately your goal is to have some sort of actual versus theoretical
yes.
reporting. And
Absolutely.
that's part of this dream, right?
Yeah, and I mean, I work for concepts where, not all concepts, but we were able to dial it down so much that we were bonuses off of actual versus theory.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot. I've seen that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we could get there with the assistance of 365, that'll be amazing.
That would be-
And I mean, you have the capacity already, so we just
We're
gotta
there.
we already gotta figure our side out, and it is machine learning right now, and so hopefully, maybe this time around next year, I would say, hey, we got theoreticals up there.
That would be awesome to hear. I mean, we're
Come back.
We're here at NRA for the restaurant show. Is there anything that's kind of on your? What are you shopping around for? What are you looking for while we're here?
Right now, there's a big focus on the quality of it. So I'm a little biased because I am on the supply chain side. So
Of course.
we are looking for solutions where we could actually maintain that quality, right? And I stated it earlier in this conversation already, but we're not bringing in like your Nobu sushi chefs.
Right.
So there is admittedly a little challenge to make sure that the ingredients, the great ingredients that we have coming through the back door into our restaurants stays that way when it's actually being served to our guests. So we're trying to find technology there to try to help assist that training piece of it so that we actually can continue to give the great quality sushi that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get for our price range.
And you've got like your culinary team is here. It's not you're just not here alone.
No,
How
no,
many
no.
people did you bring with you?
Culinary team. Unfortunately, we were supposed to have a 4-man team or a
Okay.
four-man and women team.
Yep.
One culinary team member couldn't make it, so there's only 3 of us here right now. But our culinary team works very closely with Kura's culinary team. There's for lack of a better word, like the international culinary
Right.
chef that
Quorum.
so that actually oversees and makes the final decisions, the final
Okay.
approval on what we do here. But we do have a culinary team here that we try to come here every year at least so that we know what the trend is. Like we know what works in Japan, but we do have that recognition that we have to have a bigger presence in the culinary field as well in the U.S. because what necessarily sells hot in Japan may not be what sells here.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Again, it's that culture shift we talked about with technology. It's the same with the product. So yeah, it's good to come to these events and get your finger on the pulse, see what people are
Absolutely.
interested in.
Yep.
What do you find? So you've got your plate count, your loyalty app. What's the average Kura? How often are they coming into your restaurants? Can you track that? Do you know how often they're coming in? Do you get to track KPIs like that?
We do have that capacity to do it. I don't think it's actually being tracked as like a bonusing KPI.
Yep.
However, we are listening to our guests. Like for example, we're counting plate counts.
Right.
It almost sounds like a PR push, but like we at every 15 plates, we do give out prizes to our guests.
You gamified it a little bit. I
We
love
did,
it.
we did,
Yeah,
we
that's
You were
did.
great.
incentivizing me to come and be a fat kid. More and more plates.
Yes, and it was an increment of every 15 plates. But we do have a lot of families that actually come dine with us. I'm a family of 2 beautiful children, and it's really hard to hit 30 plates. It really is.
You haven't invited me to dinner with you. I mean, we can make this happen.
Okay, but I feel like you're gonna be tempted to take the prize with you.
Yeah.
Guilty.
But it's really hard to. It was historically really hard to hit that 30 plate count. So May 5th. It's not Cinco de Mayo for us. It's actually Children's Day in Japan
Okay.
and Korea as well. And so we actually listened to our guests, and we rolled out recently that hey, that second plate prize, let's bring it down a little bit,
Incentivize. Yeah.
So we actually hit it so that the second prize will give out at 10 additional, so 25 plates versus the 30. And there's a lot that we're doing with the PR piece where we call her Sarah, but we did a survey of who our guests are.
Yes.
What's their beer? What are they looking for? So we're listening to Sarah quite a bit. Thank you,
She's your
Newton.
ideal guest.
Yeah.
Sarah's the
Shout out to Newton. I just gotta do a little shout out for Newton
course,
for
of
bringing
course.
Sarah to us to be able to consult with it. But yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like you've developed a brand and a culture that people would almost get, like the gamification of it. You almost get addicted. Like,
Yeah.
I know my wife with the Starbucks app. Like, she's all about those stars,
Yep.
right? Like, it sounds
Yep.
like you've really encouraged people to come. Like, your repeat business is probably a lot higher than you think it is. I would imagine.
Yeah, and we're trying to actually capitalize that even more.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
all
Yeah,
with
it's not-
technology.
It's not just getting them somebody in for the first time. It's getting them back and back
and
back again.
You only get one chance, man. That's
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
the truth.
Absolutely.
And we're doing a lot of more partnerships as well. With Newton joining our leadership team, we were able to send our guests to actually live in Japan recently. So and it's all done through that app.
All done.
Okay.
through the
All
app.
that kind of communication is all done through that, and then the promotions and such. So and then I foresee those things coming more and more as we continue to utilize our app more. and
That's
grow more.
awesome.
That's amazing. So we always like to end with a hot take on the industry. Something you love, something you hate, maybe something you saw here. Anything exciting you or disappointing you in hospitality these days that you want to share with everybody?
I am very excited I'm biased because I'm in the Asian food
That's fair.
business. I am very, very, very happy to see that every year the growth in the international food scene.
Yes.
Like I just came back.
Everybody's been talking about that pavilion.
Yeah, like I don't know if I ever see that much international presence.
That's awesome.
That
Yeah.
I've seen, especially in the culinary side. Technology, or what I wish I would have seen more. I was actually hoping to see humanoid robots. To be perfectly honest,
I mean, you don't know that I'm actually a person.
Yeah.
I'm somehow
Rich is a
shorter
robot.
than Mark right now. Like that
This is
never
robot
actually
Rich.
happens. I'm pocket size AI Rich. It's crazy. Technology's been jumping and booming. Seeing the robotics companies that are here that, when I first started coming years ago, tiny little booths in the back are now front and center.
Yeah.
The improvements
It's
that they
crazy.
made. Yeah. It's only a matter of time.
I feel like you had them before they were even at NRA. You did. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you were way ahead of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Leading the pack.
Yep.
I'm excited to see where technology takes your company
Absolutely.
next.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As am I.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Jung, for joining us today. For everybody who's checking us out, you can find Kura across all social media. Check out their food, check out their social content. It's incredible. And of course, just do one better than that. Go check out one of the 70 plus Kura locations around the U.S.
Get your plate count up. And of course, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great day, a great shift, a profitable Monday, wherever your restaurant may be. And don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, really wherever you listen. And you can follow us across all the socials, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. And you can always visit us at restaurant365.com. John, thanks for being here. Have a great NRA.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah.